And part of it is you're looking to build, Larry, in the non-conference season. Even when you have roster continuity, you never know what to expect from your team year to year. So both of these coaches trying to get a feel for their roster. Obviously for Nebraska, coming into this season, ranked in the top 25, same place they finished the season last year. Coach Williams, high expectations for this group. In the media, picked 5th in the preseason in the Big Ten. And for Coach Allison Pullman, building off of last year, got into the WNIT, played well, losing in the 3rd round. Preseason number 3 in the Missouri Valley, and with the roster continuity for the Drake Bulldogs, moving the ball well early.
Had to be ready for the opening tip-off?
Yeah, well, so a little bit different opening tip-off.
What's
we
heard
here? From the officials just a moment ago that there's an administrative technical. So what you're seeing Jazz Shelley on the line. It'll be one shot before the game gets started. Something about the syncing between the shot clock and the lights on the backboard. So you don't see these often, but an administrative technical before the tip. Nebraska's already up 1-0.
And they are, and we haven't even ticked off a moment yet. The officials, when we do get underway, are Michael McConnell, Tim Daly, and Jamie Broderick. And now we are set for action as what should be a really good battle in the middle. Markowski against Bear. They step into the center circle. Both are 6'3" tall, and Markowski was a second-team All-Big Ten performer a year ago. Drake with the opening tap. Nebraska essentially man-to-man defensively.
And you see getting out and putting pressure on the basketball. Getting out into a little bit of ball denial. This Nebraska defense really gave Drake fits last season.
Both teams are teams that like to run, both like to get into the 80s. Bulldogs have been there twice. Here's the drive by Meyer, and the Bulldogs do a good job patiently breaking down the Husker defense to take a 2-1 lead.
Nice play that time, Megan Meyer. The dribble penetration so important when you're playing pressure defense, having to not only break down with the pass, but also use the dribble drive as an opportunity to get in the lane. And speaking of open up opportunities, Markowski, the ability to step out, knock down shots, part of what makes her so dangerous.
And then the Bulldogs turn it over. Markowski, freshman of the year in the Big Ten a season ago. Allison Widener, a sophomore from Humphrey, Nebraska, brings it up, guarded by Dennebeer. And again, Dennebeer, a ferocious defensive player. A player just never backs down. Bourne swings it on the left side for Brady. Now Bourne trying to drive against Grace Berg. As trying to move the other direction is Shelley, and the foul called on Markowski setting the screen.
And part of what you want to see from your defense early on, both coaches watching the effort fighting over screens. That time a really good effort by Geldner on the defensive side, working through that screen, trying to navigate, not dying after the contact, drawing the foul.
Meyer swings it on top to Berg, who looks inside for Bear. Bear travels because of the defense of Markowski.
Yeah, great point, Larry. It was Markowski. Maggie Bear does a great job sealing on the inside. That high-low action is something Coach Pullman uses with frequency, especially in the half-court offense. But Markowski, the size, bothering Bear on the offensive end.
Widener drives and Bear blocks. Dennebeer comes the other direction. Kicks it out for an open Sarah Beth Gildner, who drills a 3. That is already her 7th 3 this year. Hit 4 of them in 8 tries against Iowa on Sunday.
And her ability to space the floor is a big part of why she's on the floor. And for Gildner, catching in rhythm, easy knockdown.
Jazz Shelley takes Gildner inside defensively and is able to score on her.
You see part of what makes Jazz Shelley so special, her ability to break down defenses, passes it really well, 5 assists per game. You see part of what makes a year ago.
Shelley picking up the foul as she goes to the sideline trying to deny the Bulldogs on that pass, and she gets the game's first foul for Nebraska. Or I should say their second foul for Nebraska, as Markowski had one earlier. Bear on the handoff to Gildner. Gildner shovels it up and in.
A nice sideline out of bounds play that time. Coach Allison Pullman looking over to her coaching staff with a little bit of smirk, happy with the execution from her team.
Markowski's 3 way short this time. Sarah Beth Gildner, really a different player this year. Last year struggled with her 3s, and it seemed to affect her entire game. This year you can tell she is brimming with confidence.
And part of that is an extra year in the system, right? Coach Allison Pullman in her second year at the bench and the head job for Drake University. So you understand the expectations of your coaching staff, understand your role on the floor, and Gildner early on playing well.
Dennebeer kicking out to Taylor McCauley, who just checked in, Anna Miller checked in as well. As Allison Pullman usually substitutes within the first 3 minutes, and she did here. 5 seconds on the shot clock. The pass goes inside to Dinnerbeer with 2 on the shot clock, and on a nice pass from Anna Miller, she's able to convert.
And how about that? Normally it's Dinnerbeer to Miller. It's the other way around. Anna Miller, a nice find inside to Dinnerbeer as the shot clock ran down.
Dinnerbeer's lead feed a little too long for Miller, and the Bulldogs have turned it over 3 times here in the first 3+ minutes.
Now, Larry, that one, a turnover, yes, but a good aggressive turnover. Having your big run the floor. Anna Miller going rim after the Bulldogs get possession there as we see Drake transitioning into their matchup zone.
Bourne gets the ball inside to Markowski, too high off the glass. Bourne with an offensive rebound, kicks it outside to Shelley. Shelley takes Dinderbeer inside, has the ball knocked away from her. Active hands by the Bulldogs. Berg and coming the other direction, a foul called on Widener as she tried to defend Dinnerbeer.
And Coach Williams standing on the sideline showing her hands, wondering what in the heck is going on. Officials, that looked clean. A little bit of body that time as Dinnerbeer was trying to drive in transition.
Miller kicks it on top
Good
to McCauley.
find.
Good look inside to Grace Berg.
Oh, and Grace Berg almost missed that one. Nice find from McCauley, and another good drawn-up play, a set piece from Coach Allison Pullman.
6-0 run for Drake. And inside, the Bulldogs are to be called for a foul, and this will be their first in the game. Berg picking up the foul.
Yeah, that time just a little bit too easy. Transition opportunity, even after a made basket, getting up and down the floor. Widener, a shifty crossover, getting into the lane, drawing the foul.
Allison Widener, a prolific high school scorer at Humphrey St. Francis. Almost 2,300 points, which was third all-time best in Nebraska. She had 10 points the last time these two teams met last December in Lincoln. Widener ends the 6-point Drake run with 1 free throw. Can't finish on the next one, and the ball goes out of bounds, and it belongs to Drake.
Yeah, great hustle over there in the corner by Widener, trying to get that extra possession. She's starting off this year strong, averaging almost 15 a game through the first 3 games. Really shooting it well from deep, 50% from 3.
Amy Williams makes her first substitutions as Kendall Moriarty and Kendall Cole come into the lineup. On top it is Miller paired off with Bourne. Tries to get the pass inside, and we have a second quick foul called against Allison Widener.
And the second post-up inversion that time. Anna Miller catching the ball on top, using her length as a passer. Dinnerbeer off the back cut, posting hard. That must be something Coach Allison Pullman and her staff like. Dinnerbeer posting up against Widener.
And she did it very successfully in the game against Iowa, and you can just tell as the players collapsed to the ground and the foul called against the Huskers. Dinnerbeer was so successful against Iowa, that's the very play that Nebraska is really making an effort to stop.
And a lot of scoring here in the first 4 minutes. 11-7 so far. Both these teams getting after it offensively. Not going to see a lot of shot clocks running down in this game.
Isabel Bourne picks up the foul, and that is already 5, and so the Bulldogs are in the bonus early in this first quarter. Dinnerbeer knocks down both free throws, and Drake increases his lead to 6. 5:50 remaining in the opening quarter.
And Drake back in that matchup zone. Coach Allison Pullman, you see all the guards, a lot of communication and switching in this defense. Can be tough to play as a defender, but also makes it difficult to attack offensively.
And both teams really like to go to their standard defenses. This is the standard for Drake. Off the baseline, the shot by Coley won't go, but Coley's there for the rebound, and here comes Meyer for the Bulldogs. And Meyer travels because of the defense put on her by Maddie Kroll. Kroll, a transfer from South Dakota, played against the Bulldogs last year when South Dakota beat Drake in the second game of the year, 61-46.
That was a good South Dakota team last year. Made a nice run in the NCAA tournament. Great experience for Maddie Kroll.
Bulldogs thought they played the matchup zone well against Iowa. Yes, the Hawkeyes did manage 92 points, but Allison Pullman liked her team's communication. She liked her team's ability to move with the defense. Pass intended inside for Bourne, and she battles bare for it, and Bourne touches it last, and the ball goes to the Bulldogs.
And you see flustered offensively a little bit as this Husker ball club not really finding, other than a couple dribble penetrations, having difficulty finding the right lanes to attack.
And we have a timeout with 13-7. The Bulldogs in front by 6. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. Drake starts off hitting 5 of their first 5 shots, haven't missed one yet, and lead 13-7.
Yeah, Coach Williams not going to be very happy with the defense in that first 5 minutes. And also, you look at her team, 4 turnovers on the offensive side already. So only a 6-point margin still early in this basketball game, but Coach Williams trying to light a fire under her Cornhusker bunch.
One change for Drake from their starting 5 as Courtney Becker comes on to the Meyer into the front court. The pass for Berg. Becker. Good. Hawkeyes off the bench. 6 points, 5 rebounds. Here's Meyer driving, not able to finish. And coming out with a rebound is Kendall Moriarty. Moriarty is a sophomore from Wheaton, Illinois. The first to commit in Nebraska's class last year, which was the top 25 recruiting class. Shelley looks for a 3-ball. It won't go. Bear is there to clear the rebound for the Bulldogs, and Drake right now out rebounding the Huskers 5-1. Again, Bulldogs trying to look inside. It's not there, so Gildner steps out and knocks down her second 3 of the ball game, and she already has a point first quarter.
And how about the confidence from Gildner? You know, Larry, normally a coach would say either you catch and shoot it or you catch and move the basketball. That time she catched and held it, but felt like there wasn't enough pressure being applied from Shelley. Calmly knocks it down.
Bulldogs on a 9-1 run, and Shelley tries a very difficult pass to Katie Kroll. She can't hang on to it, and the Huskers have turned it over for the 5th time. Still just under 4 minutes to go in the quarter. Just one foul called against Drake, but already the Huskers have put the Bulldogs in the bonus as driving is Berg and missing. Tries to tip the shot, and Kat Markowski has the rebound.
And you see the long arms of Markowski, clears space and does a great job corralling that one. Nice find from Shelley on the other side. It's been the transition offense before the Drake defense can get set as Shelley finds Coley for the easy 2.
Coley's first basket of the ball game. Here's Berg trying to break down Coley. Meyer starts to move, and Meyer travels. Dinnebeer comes onto the floor for Drake, and Becker will leave.
And now 5 turnovers for Drake as well. So a little bit of slop ball these teams early on.
Hopefully we are back with you from an audio standpoint thanks to the diligent work of our technicians. Nebraska is on a 10-3 run through the first 4.5 minutes of the quarter, and there's a reverse what makes them a 13-3 run as Allison Widener hits her first basket.
And part of what you've seen, Larry, part of the difference has been turnovers in this Drake offense. 4 turnovers, 1 of 6 from the field here in this second quarter. And Nebraska clicking on all cylinders offensively.
Meyer looking for her first basket, misfired, and the ball bounces out of bounds to the Huskers. Huskers on a 12-0 run.
Yeah, it's been good offense, too. Getting open shots on the perimeter, second chance opportunities. Now 6 second chance points here in this second quarter for the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
2 minutes ago, Grace Berg, the Bulldogs' leading scorer, drew her second foul, has not returned. And it'll be interesting to see if she does come back in this half. The miss by Widener, the rebound by Dinnebeer.
And Nebraska's also done a much better job defending around the rim, not allowing those easy back cuts and post-ups that this Drake offense got early.
Dinnebeer able to get 24 against Iowa doing just that, but Nebraska has well defended that. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Bear fires home a 3. Maggie Bear steps out, hits her second 3 here in the quarter.
And such versatility, Maggie Bear, the ability to step out and shoot, something she's gotten much better and better at through her career.
But Bear's threes are the only points the Bulldogs have in this quarter.
And Annika Stewart unable to knock that one down. Main one earlier that helped continue to spur this Nebraska attack.
Drake continuing to do a good job on the boards, limiting the Huskers to 1 shot for the most part. Just under 3 minutes to go in the quarter. Bear calls for it, moves inside and travels. Defense provided by Annika Stewart.
And at least the 4th time you've seen a Drake offensive player shuffle their feet, get called for a travel. Another turnover, double-digit turnovers, now 12 for the Drake Bulldogs.
Never a good sign when you have more turnovers than baskets, and the Bulldogs are pretty much getting into that situation. Maggie Kroll looks inside against Dinnebeer. The skip pass over the matchup zone. Out of the corner, the shot won't go by Callan Hake. And the ball out of bounds to Drake. Drake led by 12 early in this quarter, and their biggest lead was at that point. Now Hake leaves, and Moriarty returns. Huskers still playing without Sam Hybe, their All-Big Ten performer, as this time it will be Dinnebeer stumbling over the cheerleaders, but getting up, and she'll go to the line.
And just a little isolation. Heard Katie Dinnebeer yelling, wave, 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 coming up in that offensive set. Just took a nice crossover, hard drive to the left side. You can tell Larry definitely more comfortable in her sophomore campaign, exerting her energy, exerting her will on the offensive side, going to the rim.
3 of 3 from the free throw line to go along with the basket, and an early 5 points for Katie Dinnebeer. Member of the All-Missouri Valley Conference freshman team. And the Bulldogs extend their lead to 5 at 29-24, and that was the first points other than the threes by Bear in the quarter for Drake. Calling for it, Markowski inside. Turns on Bear, misses it badly. And the Bulldogs scrap for the rebound. McCauley tipped it away. Coley got a piece of it, and a jump ball is called, and the possession arrow will give it to Drake.
And how about the bodies on the floor? Both these teams getting after it, trying to earn the extra possession. Good effort both ways.
And so often, 50-50 balls determine the outcome of close games like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, especially when you're Nebraska, you have the momentum. You want to keep the momentum. You get a loose ball, get your bench into it. And for Drake, you want to save that possession to be able to reverse that momentum going the other way.
Dinnebeer has it knocked away, but Bear picks it up, and Maggie Bear continues her outstanding quarter. 8 points in this quarter.
And how about the move for Maggie Bear? Just a great ball fake and patience to finish that one at the backboard.
Jazz Shelley from Australia, from Mo, Australia, transfer from Oregon, played there 2 years, played at Nebraska last year, bounces onto the baseline to Coley. And again, it's a one-and-done situation for Nebraska on most misses.
Yeah, Maggie Bear doing a good job on the inside, checking out. Becker going in there, helping as well.
Bear finds Becker with a great pass. What a quarter for Maggie Bear. An assist, a couple of threes.
And again, it's the high-low action offensively for this Drake team. Getting the bigs on top, drawing the bigs away from the basket. Nice find on the inside for Bear.
Got the 15th foul on Drake, so Iowa, which I should say Drake was in the bonus in the first quarter, and now it's Nebraska in the bonus here in the second quarter. Jazz Shelley goes to the line. Knocks down the free throw. She hasn't missed a free throw this year, 7 of 7 for the Huskers, averaging 10 points a game. And she hits both of those, and the Huskers end the Bulldog run at 9. A minute left to play, first half. Dinnebeer shouted by Moarty from the top of the circle. It's Gildner with another three. That is the fourth three that she has hit in this first half.
And just brimming with confidence. The quick trigger coming off the screen. Another nice set drawn up from Coach Allison Pullman.
We mentioned it earlier. 180-degree turn in confidence for her from last year. Coley gets the offensive rebound. Kroll drives. The pull-up won't go. And the rebound is snared by Becker. But then taken away, but then taken right back by Taylor McCauley. Lead feed to Bear. Bear with a 10-point second quarter, and the Bulldogs have equaled their biggest lead, up by 12.
Larry, you mentioned 50-50 balls, right? Can turn the momentum. That time, a big bucket for Maggie Bear as we close this first half.
Shelley off the pick by Markowski as the shot clock and game clock winds down in the first half. Follow shot by Markowski won't go, and that's the way the half will end. Bulldogs led by 8 at the end of the first quarter. At halftime, they lead by a dozen, equaling their biggest lead of the first half. A 12-point halftime lead. The Bulldogs with a 38-26 lead over Nebraska, and you're watching the Valley on ESPN. Meyer, Gildner, Bear, and Berg. And for Nebraska, it is the same group that also started the ball game for them. Shelley, Brady, Widener, Bourne, and Markowski. Be interesting to see what adjustments these coaches have made at halftime.
Yeah, and on the offensive end for both these teams, look to limit turnovers. And I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see Shelley be more ball dominant and Markowski to take some early looks.
Well, Markowski takes a very early look, and like Money in the Bank, you're totally right.
And a smooth stroke from her at the top of the key, firing up Coach Williams on the sideline, trying to get her group going.
And she is an animated sideline coach, is she not? Berg on the miss, and here come the Huskers. Brady, who's seen limited playing time in her Nebraska career because of injuries, at last healthy and able to help them. Widener goes into the lane. Now Brady. Here's Bourne stepping behind the three-point line. It's in and out. The ball tipped around. Markowski and Bear battle for the loose basketball. And Markowski gets the foul. That will be her second.
And that time looked like a little bit of a rushed shot for Bourne. Could have swung the ball to the opposite side, and Markowski fighting hard on the offensive glass, just drawing a foul that time, fouling Maggie Bear as she was pursuing the rebound.
Berg inside, bottled up by Bourne. Meyer saves it for Drake. Shot clock inside 10. Meyer trying to shake Shelley. Nice job to find Bear.
And a heck of a pass for Megan Meyer, really navigating that screen and roll well with a nice right-handed outside pass as Maggie Bear roll hard to the rim.
Shelley for Markowski. She has great range, but not this time. Trying to save it is Widener, but she saves it to Meyer. Bulldogs try to build on an 11-point lead. Berg against Bourne outside. Dinnebeer being guarded by Widener. A couple of sophomores with outstanding potential. Good look inside from Dinnebeer to Bear. Maggie Bear's doing a terrific job of moving without the basketball, getting open and getting good passes as the result.
And that was a nice quick screen. A nice quick screen from Bear, rolling hard to the rim, seeing that there was an opening. No backside help defensively for Nebraska. Got that easy layup.
Bear with 7 rebounds for the Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs score inside. Katie Dennebeer with her first basket of the second half. Nebraska find themselves down by 15, and Amy Williams, the 7th-year head coach of the Huskers, going to use a quick timeout. 44-39, Drake has opened their biggest lead with a burst here in the third quarter. Jazz Shelley knocks down a turnaround as we return to the Knapp Center, and that cuts the Drake lead to 13 with 7:09 to go in the third quarter.
And Drake was on a bit of a 6-0 run, causing that timeout from Coach Williams after the early Markowski three. Nebraska having trouble defending the paint. 6 points in the paint here in this third quarter as we see the nice move from Grace Berg. An ankle breaker up top as she hits that hard crossover left to right.
Isabel Bourne accidentally with the trip, and that is her third foul. So Bourne's got 3 fouls, Markowski has 2, and Widener, all starters for Nebraska with some foul concern. For the Bulldogs, it's Berg with 2 and McCauley with 2. Other than that, nobody in any difficulty. Dennebeer tries to use the screen from Bear. Now Bear attacks the basket and misses. Good defense that time by Bourne. At 6'2", just stretched out, was able to deflect the ball. Widener into the lane. And Widener pushes off on Dennebeer.
And that's her third foul. Looks like they got an offensive foul on Widener. Her third as well. So the foul's starting to mount up for the Huskers.
Grace Berg about to inbound, but first to change as coming into the lineup, Kendall Moriarty. She played a significant amount in the first half. And also coming into the lineup is Maddie Kroll, the former South Dakota player who just transferred to Nebraska this season after playing in 2 NCAA tournaments for South Dakota and making the Sweet 16 a year ago with South Dakota. And a foul is called on Moriarty as she tries to stop Dennebeer.
And already the 4th team foul here early in this third quarter on Nebraska. So if you're Drake, continuing to be aggressive on the offensive side could yield easy points at the line.
Anna Miller, that time beats Markowski, who with 3 fouls, or with 3 fouls, had to lay off of her. 2 fouls, I should say. And anyway, she had to lay off, and that allowed the easy basket. In deep is Bourne. Bourne with the score.
And great job by Bourne, using her body to clear space for the shot blocker Miller. Staying low, just giving a little bit of a bump, not extending that arm, creating space with their lower body, getting the easy 2.
Sarah Beth Gelner, 14 points in the ball game prior to that basket. She's hit from long range. She's now hit from mid-range.
And how about the confidence, too? Coming off that screen, creating a little bit of space, maybe juggled the ball just a bit there as she was coming off the screen. Got on balance, knocked down the mid-range.
Markowski takes Miller inside, puts a spin move on her, and Miller fouls her.
And Markowski, such a tough cover. Has the long arms in there. When she posts with her back to the basket, when she's that close, really difficult to defend. Watch the nice ball fake, good patience, using her size to back Miller down, and just that little up fake creates the space, gets Miller off the ground. Markowski draws the foul.
Markowski, a double-double against Creighton the other night, 12 points and 11 rebounds. Last year against the Bulldogs, she had a double-double, 15 points, 10 rebounds, in Nebraska's 21-point victory. And for Markowski, it's a 13-point afternoon thus far. As she knocks down a pair of free throws, and the Huskers cut the Bulldog margin back to 13. Markowski will now get a rest, and in to take her place is Annika Stewart.
Nebraska continuing the token pressure up the floor, just kind of see if they can control tempo, picking up the pace on the defensive side.
Geldner trying to get around Shelley. Gets into the lane as a ball deflected, but picked back up by Geldner. 10 seconds for the Bulldogs to shoot. Dennebeer trying to break down Moriarty, tries to get around her, and Moriarty commits the foul.
And you see it again. Katie Dinnebeer calling wave. What she means when she calls wave, she wants to go basically a 1-4 set. Her on top, the opportunity to dribble, penetrate, and get all the way to the rim with the lane clear.
Moriarty now with her third foul, so that's 3 Huskers with 3 fouls apiece. And one of the things in the game plan for Allison Pullman was to try to get into this Nebraska bench. She thought maybe the Bulldogs might be a little superior on the bench, and so far it's kind of played out that way.
And part of what you want to do is you want to wear down your opponent. And I think what you've seen out of this Drake team, played with pace and a sense of urgency on the offensive side, pushing the basketball up the floor, forcing Nebraska to get back and defend.
Dinnebeer gets to double figures by being perfect at the foul line. She is 6 of 6 at the foul line. Jazz Shelley looks in against the Bulldog defense. Their matchup zone has been very effective today. Moriarty on the baseline to Stewart. Now Kroll. Shot clock is down to 7. Kroll looks for someone to pass to. It's Coley looking for 3. Missing badly to the right, and McCauley's there to pull down the rebound.
And good defense again from Drake. Great job matching up, identifying shooters, clearing the basketball, no second chance points.
Nebraska ranked 22nd in the country. It's the first time they've been ranked preseason since the 2014 season.
And you're seeing some similar script, Larry, like you saw against Creighton. Nebraska just unable to finish around the rim, and this Drake offense continues to carve up this Nebraska defense and draw fouls.
Kroll gets her first foul as Becker went to the floor. And we've got a timeout with 4:18 left to go in the third quarter. It's Drake leading it by 15 points at 50-35. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. Overs by Drake, just 1 so far in the first almost 6 minutes of the third quarter.
You know, Larry, I didn't even see Frank give you that note, but I just wrote down the same thing. If you look in the second quarter, Drake turned the ball over 4 times in the first 5 minutes, and that really allowed Nebraska to start clipping away and trying to get this game a little closer. Since then, though, much better limiting turnovers, getting good looks on the offensive side, running great offense, and drawing fouls and getting to the line.
And with that free throw, Drake has their biggest lead of the game, up by 16. Taylor McCauley with her third foul for the Bulldogs, the only player with more than 2. And now Grace Berg, who had to leave in the first half with 6 minutes to go because of 2 fouls, comes back into the lineup, replacing McCauley. Kroll to inbound. She finds Moriarty. Shelley had Becker fly past her, but decided not to shoot off the baseline. It's Stewart. Annika Stewart with her second basket.
And Stewart, a nice smooth stroke. We saw her knock down the 3 earlier. That time you see her smooth in the mid-range.
Berg catches the pass and gets knocked down.
We mentioned it earlier, Larry. This Drake offense, even off makes, pushing the basketball up the floor. You see the bigs run rim to rim. And what do I mean by that? Grace Berg gets from one end after the score. She knows she's not the person taking the basketball out of bounds. Running, sprinting down the floor, getting early post position. That effort from Grace Berg is what put her in a spot to draw that foul.
Bulldogs just 1 out of, I should say just 3 out of 5 here in the third quarter from the free throw line. But boy, the shooting from the field has been outstanding for the ball game, 63%. Berg misses them both, which is a rare occurrence. But Becker with the offensive rebound. Bear really feeling it, and that time as she starts to make nice jump hook by Stewart, her second basket here in the quarter. Bulldogs have been very efficient on offense. When you're shooting better than 60%, I guess that goes without saying.
Yeah, and points in the paint have been a big part of it. Getting the ball near the basket and drawing fouls, getting trips to the free throw line.
Moriarty comes on top, looking for two in a row is Stewart. Not this time. Dinnebeer contesting Bourne for the rebound. And though Bourne is 6'3" and Dinnebeer is 5'8", it's Dinnebeer who comes out with the carom. And they'll take it coast to coast. How about that play?
It's almost like you could see Dinnebeer, the look on her face once she went up in the trees and got the rebound, going coast to coast with the nifty finish. And then heady play, Megan Meyer creeping up as Nebraska's outletting the basketball, creeping up looking for a steal. Ball gets thrown out of bounds, extra possession for Drake. Here you're going to see Dinnebeer, watch this, going up the court, just a nice hesitation. So for all the young players out there, you don't have to be fancy with the basketball. Just a quick hesitation and go as we see another big knockdown. This time, Megan Meyer ballooning this lead to 17.
Meyer, who has struggled with her shooting early this season, able to knock it down after missing her first three tries. At the other end, the Huskers have a chance at an and one and a three-point play. Maggie Baird, just her second foul. And Moriarty to the free throw line, the sophomore from Wheaton, Illinois. Limited playing time last year, averaged just a point and a half a ball game, played in 30 games, but she's seeing a lot more extended playing time today. Here's Dinnebeer kicking for Meyer, looking for two in a row. The rebound is tipped by Moriarty over to Bourne. The Huskers trying to make a comeback at Drake, and there's Markowski inside with the hook shot. She's just a really talented big player for Nebraska.
One of the few easy baskets we've seen Markowski get as we see Drake pushing it up the floor. Another open opportunity that time for Berg, just unable to finish.
Widener pushes it up the floor for the Huskers. Lob's intended for Markowski, but Bair with a nice defensive deflection.
And Nebraska trying to give Drake a dose of their own medicine, pushing it up in transition. Markowski, good post position, pass a little short, good hands for Bair.
Widener to inbound. Her game really came along late last season. Started the last 8 games for the Huskers. Bourne in and out. The rebound by Berg. Outlets at the midcourt line to Dinnebeer. Dinnebeer, a nice hesitation.
A good look that time for Bourne, just unable to finish. Sometimes ball just won't go down.
Bair looking for the reverse, going back the other direction, draws a foul on Markowski, who turns around to the official and says, "What did I do?" And the official says, "You've just picked up your third foul."
And a nice baseline move. Maggie Bair using the rim, the backboard to her advantage, and didn't feel rushed just to put the ball up. Didn't feel rushed on the reverse. Likely would have been blocked by Alexis Markowski. But that time, the patience to pivot around, use a ball fake, get Markowski a little off balance, got Maggie Bair another trip to the free throw line.
Maggie Bair with a 15-point performance. It's right at her average so far this season in a couple of ball games. Moriarty on the wing, guarded by Dinnebeer in the Bulldog matchup zone. Here's Hake misfiring, and there for the rebound. Bair, and she's got 8 rebounds and is headed perhaps the double-double with 15 points already. Ashley Imes, number 12, onto the court for the Bulldogs. She'll try a 3-ball, and she'll knock it down. That is her first 3 of the season. And Drake just continues their torrid shooting against Nebraska. Final minute of the third quarter. Widener tries to get around Imes. And Imes reached out with a sneaker and committed the foul.
Now we're going to take a look at it here. Watch Widener. Great defense by Dinnebeer rotating over. And that's a big call. That's going to be the 4th foul on Widener. Likely going to send her to the bench here as we end this third quarter.
So fouls really an issue for Nebraska. Widener with 4, 3 apiece for Bourne and Markowski. The Bulldogs have 3 on McCauley off the bench, but other than that, no real foul difficulty. The Bulldogs with a 17-point advantage, and 36.7 left to play in the third quarter. I think Drake has really come out and just continued some of the momentum that they built against Iowa, as you suggested at their start of our telecast might happen.
Yeah, and part of what you see, Larry, is you see confidence, right? I mean, I think this group is playing well together. That it seems like each other, understand their roles. Offensively, the basketball's been moving well. And for this Drake team offensively, they play with such great pace that when they don't turn the ball over, they're getting great looks and have capable shooters on the perimeter, and you're seeing that manifest itself, leading on points in the paint and starting to heat up from three here in the second half.
Nebraska will press in the backcourt, and Shelley gets a deflection.
Good pressure that time. Nebraska in the last 30 seconds, Coach Williams trying to pick up the pace, pick up the pressure a little, make these Drake ball handlers a little more uncomfortable.
Dinnebeer against Shelley into the front court. 5-second differential, shot clock, and the end of the third quarter. Berg puts the ball to the floor against Bourne. And the rebound rolls over to Trinity Brady. Huskers will play for the last shot of the quarter, trying to reduce a 17-point deficit. Clear out for Shelley. She'll drive and she will draw the foul and will go to the line with 6.9 to go in the third quarter.
And, you know, Larry, with the 17-point deficit, I think it's going to have to be Jazz Shelley with the ball in her hands, creating more offense for this Nebraska team. 7 points, but it's been a quiet 7 points. 3 of 3 from the line, including that pre-game administrative technical, giving Nebraska the 1-0 lead before we even tipped off. But 7 points, 3 assists for Shelley. I think she's going to have a good fourth quarter to start getting Nebraska back into this one.
It was indeed a unique start with that technical to start the ball game because of a clock situation. Shelley knocks down both free throws. That gives her a total of 9 in the ball game. Bulldogs will race up the court. Dinnebeer looking for some help, tries to force a foul at the shot clock at the end of the third quarter clock, unable to do so, and the third quarter comes to an end. The Bulldogs at the half led by 12. They extend the lead to 15 as we go to the fourth. At the end of 3, it is Drake 60 and Nebraska 45. Fourth quarter begins at the Knapp Center with Drake leading Nebraska 60-45. Nebraska, the 22nd ranked team in the country. Drake through 3 quarters, hitting 58% from the floor to Nebraska's 31%.
And just executing really well on the offensive side. Coach Allison Pullman has had a couple easy buckets out of sideline and baseline out of bounds, set pieces. It's been turnovers that have derailed this team offensively when things aren't going well. That time you see Geldner throwing it away and a steal for Nebraska.
And it's a block by Miller. 15th turnover for Drake a moment ago, but just their 3rd in the second half.
Yeah, it's been a pretty clean second half, and not what you want to see coming out of the first play. But this Drake team has executed well offensively.
There's Meyer being chased defensively by Callan Hake.
Good find.
Inside the pass to Miller.
Wow, and how about the ball movement? Grace Berg struggling from the floor. Only 4 points for her, 2 of 7 from the field, but finding ways to contribute. That time her second assist and a rifled pass underneath to Miller.
Shelley on the miss. Miller on the rebound. Gets it over to Berg. Bulldogs now have 14 assists on their 23 baskets. Here's Meyer looking for 3. It's long. Miller's right there for the offensive putback and scores it.
And the pace, Larry, of this Drake offense, just too much for Nebraska to defend. The bigs running end-to-end, getting easy buckets.
Markowski gets Miller into the air to score her 18th point. Bulldogs a moment ago, that 19-point lead, their biggest of the afternoon. Gilner being harassed by Brady. McCauley, who has 3 fouls, back onto the floor. And Shelley goes down. Berg threw I think, elbow into her stomach and knocked her down, and Berg gets the foul.
Yeah, I couldn't see. I was looking off the screen. I didn't see exactly the action that happened, but Grace Berg turned around looking like she was pretty surprised, thought she was set. I think you're right, Larry. As Shelley went down, she was kind of grabbing at her stomach, felt like maybe she got an elbow down there low in her stomach area.
And the officials agreed, and so the foul goes against Berg, and the Bulldogs Brought back on defense as into the offensive end comes Allison Widener, who's the leading scorer thus far in the season for the Huskers, averaging almost 15 points a game after averaging half that last year. Here's the shot by Shelley that won't go. She's having an off shooting game for her. She's just 2 out of 7 now from the floor. Gilner with a hesitation while the defender flies by, misfires. The ball goes out of bounds off of Miller.
And we talked about Jazz Shelley would have to be a little bit more engaged here in this fourth quarter, and she has been. And by engaged, I mean offensively aggressive. Excuse me, that's a better term. Offensively aggressive. We've seen her try to get loose for a couple, just unable to knock down those threes.
Nebraska trying to get something going offensively, goes inside to Markowski with a nice right-hand hook after
that's a
nice ball fake.
Really nice move from Markowski, ticking her up closer to 20 points, 19 for her in the ballgame.
And the Bulldogs come back at the other end with Becker.
And it's either been Megan Meyer breaking down the defense, getting to the rim, or it's been Katie Dinnebeer. Now Meyer gets her 7th point.
Here's Shelley, again misfiring and scrapping for the rebound. McCauley, and Nebraska is going to get the foul. Now Shelley leaves the lineup. And Dinnebeer will bring it up for Drake. Bulldogs really in command virtually all the way. Nebraska's biggest lead has been 2, and that was when they got the administrative technical to help them take a 1-0 lead. And Bear scores again inside for Drake. A 17-point game for Bear.
And again, you see the patience of Bear getting on balance and allowing Markowski to forcing Markowski to get herself a little bit out of position, and Bear just using her strength to go up and finish.
Stewart misses the turnaround. Bear's there for the rebound, her 9th rebound, to go along with her 17 points today. Meyer feeling it now, not this time. Becker tries to get the rebound, but there is Widener to pull it down for the Huskers. Widener pulls up, can't score. Bodies go to the floor once again, and a foul spotted on Drake. And they got Dinnebeer. Dinnebeer's second. It's the second team foul called against Drake in the quarter. Nebraska is just assessed with 1. And Allison Widener goes to the line. Had a career-best rebounding 9-point performance against Omaha to open the 9th rebound performance against Omaha to open the season. And now the officials are going to, I believe they're going to take a timeout.
But not struggling a bit from the floor. 7 of 15, 2 of 4 from 3. No other Husker in double figures. Jazz Shelley the closest, 9 points, but that's off of 5 of 5 from the free throw line, only 2 of 9 from the floor, 0 of 5 from 3.
And the thing that really jumps out to me is that Drake is hitting 58% of their shots, and a lot of that has to do with the fact they're getting those shots in the paint.
Yes.
And Nebraska, on the other hand, being held by Drake to 31%.
Yeah, and it's been a struggle for Nebraska on the offensive side, and I think for Coach Williams at times the group's gotten really good looks, but some of them have been itchy. They've been itchy looks, and what I mean by that is just a little premature in the offense. Rather letting the offense continue to mature, moving the ball side to side, it's taken the first open one rather than maybe making the next extra pass to open up your teammate.
Widener getting a wrap from the athletic trainer, Ben Hoover, and now steps back to the free throw line and knocks down her second free throw. Kendall Moriarty comes back onto the floor for Nebraska. Brady will leave. Nebraska again trying pressure. Dinnebeer trying to break the press. This time it's knocked away from her, but then it's lost at the other end by Moriarty.
And Nebraska picking up the pressure. Have to create turnovers. Down 17 with 6 to go. You don't see Jazz Shelley. You don't see Markowski on the floor. What Coach Williams is looking for is a little bit of energy from her team, creating turnovers.
And speaking of turnovers, there's one Nebraska does that Dinnebeer finishes, then she gets fouled. Dinnebeer running the floor well as per usual and drawing an and one.
And another foul drawn. Now 9 for her. big-time play, though, when you start to make a mistake, right? So this Drake team, you're up 17 a minute ago, make a mistake, turn the basketball over. What do? Do you hang your head? Do you give up an open shot? No. This team goes out, gets a deflection, defense leads to offense in transition, and a heck of a finish by Dinnebeer falling to the floor, getting the and one opportunity.
Coley committing the foul. Dinnebeer with 14 points coming off her 24-point effort against Iowa on Sunday, and she knocks down that free throw. Katie Dinnebeer just continuing to show great improvement from her freshman year to her sophomore year, and her freshman year was awfully good. In the middle, it's Stewart. She kicks it off for Moriarty. Bulldogs once again making the defensive pressure, making Nebraska work. Shot clock goes down to 8. And a whistle blows, and a violation spotted against Nebraska. That time it's a travel, I believe.
Yeah, I think got her same thing we talked about with Maggie Bear earlier. The pump fake and that step back, as you get too close to the sideline, a lot of times officials are watching that back foot. Stepped on the sideline, turnover for the Cornhuskers.
20-point Bulldog lead. Drake trying to go to 2-1 on the year. The Huskers in danger of losing their second in a row. And if so, falling out of the top 25 after being ranked there preseason for the first time since 2014. Nice feed from Bear to Becker.
And two things, Larry. Not only one, unselfishness, right? You have to be an unselfish player if you're going to set up your teammates. But the second one, great off-ball movement for Drake. Becker doing a great job getting to the backside after the post feed to Bear.
Bourne with an offensive rebound. Bear gets a piece of it. Bourne goes right back up and draws a foul. Becker and Bear were both there. And it's Becker who gets the foul. That'll be her second. Sarah Beth Gildner comes in, and Megan Meyer leaves. Meyer with 7 points. And Gildner had a red-hot first half, had 14 at the half, just 2 here in the second half, but she was really on fire from the three-point line in the first half. One more for Isabel Bourne, one of 2 Australians on the roster for the Huskers, Jazz Shelley being the other.
And Bourne averaged 11 points, 5 rebounds per game a year ago. Off to a little bit of 11 and 6 so far this year. So doing a good job, a slow start to this game, though.
Shelley lobs inside for Markowski. Markowski able to score as her defender Bear falls down.
And now another quick basket for Nebraska. So not going away. This Husker ball club continues to fight.
Markowski now with 21 points. And that is a career, I take it back, almost a career high for her. Not quite. From the corner, it's Becker. Markowski controlling the rebound. And here comes Nebraska. Just under 4 minutes left to play. As the Huskers find themselves down throughout the afternoon, Markowski with a miss for 3. Berg with the rebound for the Bulldogs. Dinnerbeer pulls up.
And how about the confidence from Dinnerbeer? Have a big lead towards the end of the game, but feeling it, knocking down that 3. As soon as she let it go, started running back on defense, knew it felt good, pure.
And doing it against her dad's alma mater. Dinnerbeer's father, John, was a golfer at Nebraska and is now a golf pro at Briarwood here in Des Moines. Shelley slaps the ball away. Drake will play it with 3:13 to play. Ball bouncing right here on our table and past us. Really no play there for either of us.
No, that was a little too far for me, but our stat guy Frank over there, I mean, really flubbing it. Had the stone hands, unable to corral that thing. Had to get some help from the first row.
Well, now his hands may be tired from all the stats
yes.
he keeps for us. I mean, I'm gonna give him a little slack. Shelley hooks the pass inside to Bourne.
Boy, I'm impressed with the way Jazz Shelley sees the floor. just able to make passes left hand, right hand, really understands the flow of help, the flow of defense, creates open looks for her team.
Gilner shovels the ball inside to Dinderbeer, had a little trouble hanging on, but somehow was able to get it over to Grace Berg. I don't know how she did it, but she did.
Well, and again, just cutting off the ball. Grace Berg in the right position to be able to corral that feed from Dinnerbeer. And this Drake offense really giving fits to Nebraska defensively.
Markowski in deep. Bear gets the block. And then Markowski gets tied up by Geldner. Well, when you think about this, when you look back, the Bulldogs have really run a classic offensively and defensively today.
Yeah, I think absolutely executing on both ends. As you hear the Drake faithful giving a great ovation. Maggie Bear, Grace Berg, and Katie Dinnerbeer all going to the bench. Well-deserved this 21-point lead against Nebraska.
From the corner, it's Allison Widener, who was one of the more prolific scorers in Nebraska high school history, number 3 all-time at Nebraska. She had almost 2,300 points in her high school career at a small high school, Humphrey St. Francis. Pass just a little bit short for Geldner that time. Shelley, length of the floor, just having an off shooting night. Bourne has it blocked by Miller. Miller comes up with the rebound. Anna Miller, if she doesn't score, always makes her presence felt at the defensive end.
And again, the offensive Drake got an open look. Miller, a great job running the floor to get the easy one, just unable to finish.
Lob for Markowski is long, but she's able to deflect it over to Widener, and she misses, and the rebound is cleared by the Bulldogs' Anna Hawthorne, a freshman who has only played 1 minute thus far, but getting some opportunity now to play. Hawthorne is a freshman from Ames, went to Gilbert High School, where she was a two-time All-Stater. Geldner leaves, and the Bulldogs' other freshman, Tayden Gray, a freshman from Shawnee Mission West High School in Lenexa, Kansas, comes on. So both freshmen on the floor for the first time this season together. As Allison Pullman will use her entire bench, and her Bulldogs jumped off to an early lead, have never looked back. Nebraska's lead today, 1 minute 40 seconds. Gray spins in traffic and unable to finish. Becker with the offensive rebound, and she gets fouled.
And even though you have new players in the game for Drake, the story continues. Continuing to get the ball inside, share the basketball, and those hustle plays, the hustle points. This time Becker getting the offensive rebound and saving the possession.
Becker, a player who, when Hannah Fuller, who was the hardest Bulldog worker, graduated, Allison Pullman said, I need somebody to be another Hannah Fuller, to be the hardest worker on the squad, to show up with a great attitude every day. That player has been Courtney Becker. And
she's shown that today. She's come out, and, you know, you look at the stat sheet and you see 3 points and a few rebounds, and you look and you think, oh, how big of an impact can you have? But whether it's defensively, rotating into the right spot, deterring passes, making sure that people don't drive around her, stepping into those help side positions, quick movement offensively, getting tips on the offensive side, being active on the offensive glass, all those little things as you get into loose balls, Larry, add up to a lot for your team.
It's a really good summary of her game because it doesn't often show up in the box score. You're right. Iams is open for 3. And the rebound chased down by Stewart. We go to the final minute of an impressive Drake victory over a team ranked 22nd in the country and picked to finish 5th in the Big Ten Conference. Widener will go to the line with a foul called on Becker. Bulldogs' next home game will be that game that they play with a lot of school children in the building against Lindenwood, and that'll be on December 1st. But between here and there, as we mentioned, they go down to Miami for the Florida International Tournament. And Nebraska home on Tuesday night against Tarleton. Stewart on the turnaround over Imes. Two-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Bulldogs look like they're looking for a little bit more, especially with a couple of freshmen who've not scored. And now Allison Pullman says, okay, that will be enough. Let's slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, happy to run a little bit of clock toward the end of this one. And again, just an entire team effort as it continues. The easy two, good screen and roll offense that time. Gray knocking that one down.
An insignificant basket in the game, a significant one for her because that is her first Drake basket.
And freshman to freshman, a nice find for Hawthorne on the backside. So a big way to finish and a heck of a win. 18-point victory for Drake against a ranked Nebraska opponent.
And for the Bulldogs, the third time in 3 games they've hit 80 or more points.
Wow. And so, again, Larry, a testament to this offense. Allison Pullman she feels great. She feels confident about her group. You see the way they play together, moving the basketball, and really a clinic put on offensively and with pace for the Drake Bulldogs.
Bulldogs have Dinnebear lead the way with 18 points, Bear with 17, and Gildner with 16. And for Nebraska, 21 points from Alexis Markowski paces them. So the Huskers now drop to 2-2, and the Bulldogs improve to 2-1. So that's the story today from the Knapp Center. The Bulldogs led early, led by as many as 22. They win it by 18. Final score, Drake 80 and Nebraska 62.